Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to the 6 Yard Box podcast. My name is Joe Chiraco, and I am joined here, as always, by my co-host, John Groh, president of JOFC Toronto, and James Martino, member of the board. This podcast is episode 10, a milestone for us, and as always is brought to you by our friends at Creative, KRE8IV.ca for all your design, logo, and branding needs. They just designed a brand new logo for us on the 6 Yard Box, which you'll see as the thumbnail on our YouTube video. Great job that they've done. So thanks again to the folks over at Creative. As always on our podcast here at the 6 Yard Box, we are very pleased and honored to have a guest from one of our JOFC clubs here in North America. This episode, we have Ross Zagami from JOFC Boston. Welcome to the show, Ross. As always, we're gonna get a little bit of insight into you, how to your fandom as a Juventus fan, and we'd love to hear more about what you folks in Boston have been doing down there with your club. So again, I'll give the floor over to you, Ross. Welcome to the 6 Yard Box.
Well, first of all, I'm very emotional. Thank you for the invite. It's an honor to be here, and this is what it's about. I've been saying this. We've had a club here, and I go into our club for 27 years, and I always tell my members, there's got to be a lot of Juventus fans all over North America. When can we have a big banquet? When can we meet people? And now with the club docs, this has become a reality. Okay, I'm a little bit older than you folks. I mean, when I say this, I still feel so young. But I came to Boston in 1963 from a little town outside of Messina in Sicily, and I've been in the Boston area now 57 years. And back in my little town in Italy, and if you go to my little town, on top of this mountain, we did not have a soccer field. We played soccer in front of the churchyard, cement churchyard. It must be like 50 feet by 50 feet. And we used to play 3-on-3. And the teams were always Juventus against Milan. Juventus, in my town, there was no Inter fans at all, maybe 1, 2. So back then with the Boniperti, Onsivori, Del Sol, I remember these players, I was always on the Juventus side. And that's how I became a fan, by playing always on the Juventus team. When I moved to the United States, obviously soccer wasn't very big, but I followed soccer. I played through junior high school. I played here at Belmont High School. I played at the University of Boston. I played 4 years of soccer there. Then I got into coaching. I coached 2 years at a community college. And then I started coaching high school, and then my kids' youth soccer. And then finally, 1995, we created this first Juventus club. And the people from New York get mad at us sometimes, because I think they told me in Torino that we became the first official soccer Juventus fan club in in North America. Whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter anymore. So, and I was telling John in 1983, I was a crazy soccer fan and Juventus fan. When Juventus visited Toronto, I got on a plane and I came to see that game when Roberto Bettega was sold to Toronto. If you can go back that far, okay. So when we became in 1995, we became an official club doc, and we met. There was a goalie for Juventus, Michelangelo Rampulla, which he was once the director of the, and he was born in Messina. So I became really friends with him. So then I was a host of his, a guest of his in Torino. I went to Torino, and he took me to the practices. And he gave me tickets to go see the Milan Juventus game, or the famous game where Del Piero does a reverse kick and Trezeguet heads it in, if you remember.
Oh, yes.
I was at that game.
Wow.
Yeah. So what we do with our club, now our club here, we have some young folks, but we have a lot of, and half, I won't say half, like 1/3 of our members are women. So we let them in because they're either the wife of the husband, but we have some women that, and they're older folks. So we became more like a family type of a social club. Yes, we watch the games. We are Juventus fans, but once a month we have this what we call Festa in Familia. We have let's say a day. We have a kitchen and another big room where we have our meetings and so forth. And we can fit up to 90 people in there. We've had 90 people where we cook, we have a dinner, and that we do that once a month. Sometimes I bring my music, and I've been involved with music now for 40 years. I've played in Italian bands. I've done weddings and all that. So once a year we have a big banquet in November, a banquet where we have a caterer, we have a hall. And and I invite the president of the Inter Club. They invite me to their club when they have their banquet, and it's more of a, when I say friendly, yes, but off the field, on the field, I hate the team with a pen. My wife is in there. She's an Interista, but she supports me so much. So basically, right now, as the people got older, some people have kind of passed away. Some people that won't keep up. Some people become old. So right now we have about 60 members. And unfortunately, we've been closed since March. We've had no income. We haven't had any of these Festa in Familia. In the summer, we do a big picnic in this place called Gloucester, right on the water. It's a fishing port. And we usually get 200-300 people for that. We have a caterer who comes in. Well, they set up a big banquet tables outside, and we eat. We bring music. So our club is more, how do I call it? More of a friendly family club but we have the core of the members are Juventine fan. We are Juventus club, no question about it. So basically, in a nutshell, Joe, that's more the history, but you can ask me more questions. But that's what we do. I've been president. We had a president that we supported. He did well. Then all of a sudden he just quit. He didn't want to do it anymore for a stupid reason. Sometimes us Italians, we become over ridiculous, stupid things and I begged them. I said, what are you doing? You've done so well. So anyway, they voted me. I was a treasurer then. I was the first treasurer of the club. So they said, Ross, please, we would like you to be president. So I've been president now for the last 10, 12 years. And what I've done is, yes, I brought Sergio Brio here twice. Once a year when we have the banquet, we had a couple of singers from Italy come. We had the band, a band called the Pisti dei Sogni. There's that song Piccolo Fiore. I don't know if you heard of it, but we've had them as guests here. So we try to bring a guest every year at our banquet, to bring people in. And we usually average, our biggest year at that banquet was we had almost 500 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So people come, we serve dinner, there's a sit down dinner, we wear tuxedos. That's our full banquet. We have that in the first or second Saturday in November. Depends on when it comes, that Saturday. So, and this year, unfortunately, in November, I had to cancel it. I had to cancel it because of COVID. We cannot have more than 10, 25 people. So, our funds are coming down a little bit because we still have to pay rent. Although the owner of the building has been nice to us, cutting the rent in half, but we're surviving. We're going to survive. And I told my members, as long as I'm alive, because I've been here from day one, as long as Ross Zagami is alive, this club would not close. No way.
Damn, those are some powerful words, Ross. That's awesome.
Fantastic.
We love to hear that stuff. We love hearing those stories of fans all over the world, and that's why we're Juventus fans. We do what we do here. So,
and the other, if I may say one more thing, Joe and John, when we talk about club doc, an official club, a lot of the members, older friends, says, why do we need that? We're not going to go to Torino. What do we do this? But now these members, when the Juventus came to train in Boston, and I was able to get all my members go into the dressing room, take pictures with, now they tell me it was all well worth it to be an official club dog. So, and I will fight every year for that. I said, listen, we're a social family club, whatever you want to call it, but our number one thing is Juventus. Keep in mind that we are Juventus fans, and as long as I'm the president, I want to be affiliated with Torino. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. But me, that's me. And so
that's amazing, Ross. We love the passion. Absolutely love it.
Thank you, Joe.
Speaking of our beloved Juventus, let's jump right into our topics on today's episode.
Sure.
It's been a pretty rocky month of January with some pretty low points, but some high points most recently. James, I'm going to start with you to recap some of the tougher games. Big win against Milan earlier at the beginning of the month. That very poor loss against Inter, but then winning the Super Cup. Can you sum up the month a little bit? What has been wrong with the struggles here, and do you think we'll see those going forward?
I think this is going to be a long season. COVID is going to be making its effects, and that's pretty much one of the big reasons why we had such an up and down January. We started had the game against Milan, and it was maybe one of our best games of the season. We looked fantastic in that game. Looked like a brand new team. And then post that game, what ends up happening? We get a couple positive COVID tests. We lose Delict, we lose Sandro, we lose Corrado. And once that, we're not really the same team. Yes, we have more depth than a lot of the other teams, but we're not. That's not our best starting 11, and that's where we saw the struggles against an Inter team. That game, for me, when I'm watching, I hate losing to Inter. I think we all know that well, but it was more. They seem to lack a little bit of fire belly in that game. But then they bounced back that following week, and then we had the massive win in the Supercoppa. And anytime we beat Napoli, it's always a good game, and very happy for having played there. And hopefully we can keep the momentum. We just got Corrado back over the weekend. He is, as much as he's one of those players that you love and hate. But he is fundamental to Piero's system. We work the ball off of that wing, and the crosses come from that side. So good to see him back, and then the Lick coming back. And I think the big highlight of January is got our captain back. Chiellini, he's missed quite a few games, but he's played 3-4 in a row, and he's starting to look like that rock in the back again.
Well, can I jump in and mention something about the little struggles there a little? And I'm not the one. I will never make excuses for the referees. I never blame them. But when you have 5 players out of your lineup, when you're talking about Alexandro, Cuadrado, Delite, Dybala, I mean, you take 5 players away from Inter, it would have been a different game. But I mean, no excuses. I think the game that really killed us is the Fiorentina game. That's the game that I just still cannot believe that losing that game. But I think we're back. We're back. Pirlo is acquiring some experience, and I think he'll do fine. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, great. John, your thoughts to add to some of that?
Well, I mean, look, I'm going to echo what James said. Cuadrado is an absolute beast. I think the dimension he gives Pirlo, and really, up until you see it when our game was mainly on the left flank, and Pirlo tried Chiesa on the right flank to try to make up for that loss without Cuadrado against Inter. Well, you know what that ended up having to cost us 2 goals, where Hakimi and Barella destroyed Ramsey and this and Bernardeschi and whomever else, who was the Frabotta. Like it was unbelievable. You expected a guy like Frabotta, as good as a young gentleman has been to us. You're expecting him to carry that weight. That's a significant weight. When you're losing, and Ross brought up a great point. No Alexandro on that back line to bring you some of that experience and knowledge of how to obviously man mark and keep someone at bay. You don't have that. You're going to suffer. And again, I agree. A loss is a loss, whereas some people may look at it from a sense of if this was probably on the opposite side of the coin for Inter, they'd be, probably making comments or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's a loss. I'm very happy with the win against Napoli. I thought that we bounced back. I think that's a true test of a team and its resilience. I agree that having Chiellini as a voice, as the experience, he may not have the legs that he did, but boy, oh boy, did he ever pull a number on Lukaku. Lukaku turned on him once, but he didn't do much that game. And, we look at that game, but if it wasn't for Barella and Hakimi played out of this stratosphere that game, they single-handedly beat Juventus on their own, and we did not have a good game. There was not one good player. I'm going to say that Chiellini was our man of the match that game to keep Lukaku, a gentleman who's 10 years plus his junior, and just a robust strength and abilities of that player is incredible. And to leave him to a couple of shots, one that was a really good one, and Tech was fantastic on that. And I'll touch upon Tech in a second. But it really, the boys bounced back. I love, as much as people can say what he wants, what Ronaldo brings to the team, and this panache, this arrogance that you do need in order to be bigger and better. Phenomenal. And, and this is just obviously a good thing that we have Ross here. We have our North American jewel, our Texas magician, our Lone Star magician, Weston McKennie, who's just the guy he is, as they rated him this past few days in Serie A, the best acquisition of the summer market. He is, we talk about what Alphonso Davies as a player has done for Bayern Munich and his value from being bought from Vancouver for $8 million, and what we are getting him from, what we're going to be getting him from Schalke. I mean, the guy's an absolute steal. His pedigree and his worth is unmeasurable right now to Pirlo in that midfield. I can't wait to see him and Kulusevski grow together. Those two seem to be very much like the bromance is almost blossoming in front of our eyes. You can see that they're looking for each other. They kind of offset each other. Weston is more of a midfielder that is going to cover, break up the play, but he gets in dirty. He's got such. I think you have Kulu, who's just calm, cool, collected, soft passes, precision shots. The guy doesn't really have he doesn't sweat under pressure. So I am going to say that looking forward, I'm very confident in the team moving forward. I don't think, if it's not for COVID, I don't think this team is going to have any sense of a hiccup until we get to probably meeting up with the Milan teams again, with Atalanta and what have you. I feel that they have, again, you're looking at a season where hopefully we're going to get into the Euros. Players are going to try to preserve themselves, and we have a dynamic bench that lends us to go out there and play games where we can modify our system and accommodate the players that we have on the bench so that we can give key players a rest. And again, Ross says, well, hopefully we get a Dybala back that is going to give a level of response to the team that is going to be beneficial to everybody, to Ronaldo, to Kulusevski, to Morata, who obviously ever since coming back from injury hasn't been as he was when he started, but we know that Alvaro is dedicated to his team and he'll get there.
John, thanks for that. Ross, I want to get your opinion on the Super Cup. It was a big win, a big trophy, our first trophy of the season. Review on the game and what this kind of impact it's going to have on the rest of the season. Go ahead.
Well, the way I look at the Super Cup, there was a couple of episodes that, thank for our goalkeeper. He made two miraculous saves that Napoli could have tied it, and then at the end we scored. But this is a type of game that's going to build the confidence of the younger players too. I believe when a player tastes a first championship or their first cup, or even Pirlo said it. He said, I enjoy better winning a cup as a coach and not as a player, because now he's in charge. So it's a boost. It's a confident boost for the future of this team. And what I was going to say was, in the last 10 years, we have Juventus battling for the 3 cups every year. We're in champions, we're Coppa Italia, Scudetto. So, we have to be grateful to the team, what it's given to us for the last 10 years. And, if we have a makeup game, if we make up that game against Napoli and we win that one, we're only We'll be 4 points behind. And we have the scontri diretti. We could be right there. And I think Juventus will be there at the end with the Milanese.
Yeah, right on. James, anything to add regarding the PS5 Super Cup? Okay, James, we're just going to get to him in a second. I will say my thoughts, I guess, in the meantime. I thought it was a game where, people were saying, I was hearing online that, Napoli deserved to win, which is a complete BS, because we were the better team. We played much, much better than Napoli. We deserved to win. Yes, did we get a little lucky with Szczęsny making some huge saves, probably his best game of the season, and he needed it, really. And Insigne missing, it was awful penalty. In the sense, yes, but I think we had the most shots. We had more shots than Napoli. We had we had more possession. We had more play in the opposing half. We deserved to win the game, regardless of whether it was going to be 1-1 or 2-0. The cup was in our hands, and rightly so. I think it's a big, like Ross, you mentioned, this is a catalyst. I think it's going to be able to build momentum. I think after really tough loss against Inter, we really needed this to bounce back. And I think this is pretty much going to do it for us. And I love Andrea Agnelli's quote, where he says, it's beautiful to win, a trophy in 10 years in a row, but the most beautiful trophy is the next one. And that's just, that pretty much goes without saying that this is our club. This is Juventus. And this is, why we've been so successful, because we're always looking forward to the next challenge. John, I just want to get your thoughts on the Super Cup before we move on to the Coppa Italia.
Joe, I can't agree with you more. I was taken aback by some individuals who, again, thought that Napoli was a better team. Look, you have a goalie in net for a reason. I agree with you that Tech has been. I think you're right. I think he played his. Although we lost against Inter, I think he made some key saves against Inter, and the Supercoppa. He was just. It's unbelievable, that point blank save on Lozano, and then the toe save in the dying seconds of in the outside of the 90. So he was supposed to be there, and obviously I think it was Cuadrado who headed it right into him, and he parried it, and he had a little bit of a smirk for Juan. So it's great that you have in those situations where they could be very heightened with stress and anxiety, that he kind of, when he did that, I think that was even good for the fans. It really showed that he was comfortable between the uprights. So it was really good to see, because anybody, if you name it, let's call it out, right? Call a spade. If that was Gigi would turn his head and kind of give Juan, like, what are you doing, type of thing. So it was a pleasant smirk and welcome smirk from Tech. I think he had, again, a phenomenal game. Terrible miss by Insigne on the penalty shot, which in my opinion should have never been called a penalty shot. I know I may be disappointing a lot of Interista, what have you, but I don't know anyone. I've played the game of soccer for many years. That's an obstruction call if I ever seen it. Someone who is in full swing to kick the ball and you step in front, that's an obstruction call. He came from behind, he leaned, he didn't make any, Mertens did not make any attempt for the ball. If he did, he would have lunged with his foot. He did not. He actually leaned into Weston McKennie, pushed him off the ball. He went to go kick as any normal human being would do. There was no malice. I think, obviously, thank goodness he didn't get a card. I just don't know how by going to VAR you actually give that a thing, which just probably goes to show how stupid the definition is of a penalty shot is right now in Serie A and all of its competitions. Outside of that, I thought it was a strong game by everyone. I thought Pirlo, although a little late, made the right substitutions. Although a little late, I think he waited till the 67th minute, which I probably wouldn't have waited that long. I probably would have gotten the substitutes in around the 60th minute, give a little more leg. You need at least a half hour in there to see how these players are progressing and where you can use it, because it's not just a game to see where to win. It's also to see how your players are progressing halfway through the season. So outside of that, best game. I was very happy for Pirlo. You saw it in his jubilation and his in the festivities afterwards. Very, very happy for all of them. And Insigne could keep on crying for all I care.
He was doing a lot of crying.
Well, very disrespectful human being. I mean, and I won't get into that. I find it very disheartening that in this day and age that you have players who do not want to stand there and obviously acknowledge their counterparts who, for some, are teammates on the national team, and that for me is a big issue for me. And I applaud Gattuso for his for what he did and blocking the egress to the change room and having his players stand out there. It was great to see, and he was the only one, Lorente, actually applauding the team as they were receiving the medals, and everybody else. I would be dejected too. That's what we call a fierce competitor. But fierce competition does not mean you disregard respect. It means that you respect your counterpart and your opponent even more. And you know what? In 5 months, hopefully, God willing, that we get to see them. Insigne will be joining a bunch of other teammates from Juventus to represent Italy at the Euro Cup. I don't know. If this young guy has what it takes to be a leader on any front. I think he's a pardon the expression. He's not a small man by stature. He's a small man by mind.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. Well, I understand your point. He has been very petulant at times, and I think, regardless of the rivalry, you should show sportsmanship after the game. And it's disappointing to see that from the Napoli players, a couple of them throwing their medals or like taking it right off. We would never do that. I mean, we have, as they say, the Juventus way with classe, right? So, that's who we are. And, even more reason that we deserve the trophy, to be honest. Yeah. And shout out to Serie A for finally they're late on the commercial side of the game, but finally, doing their sponsorship with PlayStation. I thought the camera angle, they had that cool video game angle on the side camera. Finally, it's about damn time that they actually do an important partnership to grow the esports, which we all know. And John, I know you've got a young son and he's into video games, and esports is the biggest thing. And Serie A is finally getting on there. And I think it's good for all fans of the game, because more money, more sponsorships, more corporate deals means more funding for us to be able to spend on players. So kudos to them. And speaking of cup competitions, we have our match at the time of recording. We have Juventus Spal. Spal is the last Serie B team in the Coppa Italia. It should be it should be an easy win to get to the semis in the Coppa Italia. Ross, what are your predictions for tomorrow's match? Give us your little insight on what you expect in the game tomorrow in the Coppa Italia.
Well, I heard Pirlo saying there's going to be some kind of a turnover for tomorrow. I understand Spal is a Serie B, I don't know if you guys watched the Inter Milan game today. I mean, there was no turnover there. Inter had all their best players on the field all at once. So yes, he might want to give a chance to start the game, with some younger players to give them a taste. I mean, you should not take any team lightly. They're professionals. You know, they were in Serie A couple of years ago, maybe last year, if I remember correctly. We cannot take this team lightly. See, these teams, when they play against Juventus, they play their hearts out. They want to show how good they can be for their future, and they're going to be pressing La Juve. And La Juve has a little bit of problems with these younger team or lower Serie A team as we go, because we know we tied Benevento, we tied Crotone. Those are the points that we lost. So, we got to get right at them. You attack them tomorrow. Attack them, and let's close the game in the first half. Score the first, second goal, and just keep going. And the prediction, I mean, it's going to be at least a 2-0 tomorrow for Juve.
Yeah, and don't forget that we almost lost to Genoa. Genoa took us to extra time in the round of 16 match. So absolutely, Ross, couldn't agree more. Never ever underestimate any opponent, especially this year, because it seems all the small teams are having a leg up apparently. James, sure. I know you just rejoined us. I want to get your thoughts on tomorrow's Coppa Italia match and your thoughts going into the quarterfinal.
Yeah, I think Pietro said it best, that these are matches that you need to come in with the right mindset. I think that's something that we didn't do 2 weeks ago versus Genoa. These are those landmine games. So while the top tier teams like Juventus will try to rotate their squad as much as possible, these other teams, these guys are hungry. They're waiting for their opportunity to beat a giant like Juve. We've seen it happen in the Spanish league, where Barcelona got eliminated in some of the teams in Europe. So they need to come in with the right mindset. But then also, this is the opportunity for these, I won't say fringe players on our squad, but more these players who are what you would call squad players. So the Bernardeschi's of the world, Buffon getting his shot to come on as well. Demiral, this is his time. He's had a few opportunities where because of injuries, he got some starts, but then he's also been injured. So there's a lot. He's got a massive Twitter following, pushing him to as a star. I don't think he's there yet, but this is his opportunity. Games like this where he can show that he is part of the question of, hey, I should be a regular starting 11 versus a squad player.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm hoping that we don't take anyone for granted. Turning our page from the Coppa to the Serie A, and we've got a couple of pretty big matches coming up, gentlemen. We've got Sampdoria this weekend, but then we have Roma at home, and then we face our old pals, your buddy Insigne there, John. We're going to face him again on February 13th. And then we have the Champions League after. And sandwiched in between Juventus, Roma, and Napoli. And the Napoli match, we have, God willing, we get through tomorrow. We're going to be facing Inter in the semifinals on February 3rd and February 10th, with the Coppa Italia final being on May 19th. So if you've got Inter twice, with Juventus, with Roma and Napoli in between, pretty tough stretch. John, your thoughts on the upcoming schedule? You think we can go a full 4 for 4 here in wins, or do you see any stumbling blocks coming along the way?
I don't. If we stay healthy and that those swabs come back, the tampone come back negative, then we'll be fine. I mean, we have 2 full squads, and it shows when you're able to. Like, that's a deflating. If I'm a Sampdoria, or if I'm a Genoa, I'm a Roma, it's the depth that is going to allow us to be and have that additional confidence. When you're allowed to go and you take off a case and you're allowed to put in a Kulusevski, how many people have that luxury? Not many, right? So same thing when you have an Alexandro that God willing he comes back healthy soon. You take him off and you want to sub in a Demiral. Come on, guys. Let's face it. You keep Chiellini on the bench. You play De Ligt, Danilo, Bonucci, and Alexandro, or you bring in Demiral with De Ligt and Danilo and Alexandro. You know what I mean? Like, we can go. Travolta comes in the second half and acts as a thing. You know, like, these are and you're having a Weston McKennie that he is now that freight train is starting right now. And we all know, in order to be proper for the Champions League, you have to start hitting your stride in February to be there for the Champions League. So Liverpool did it, Bayern did it last year. They all hit their stride in the month of February, and that's when they started really going hard. I'm going to say Sampdoria is going to be a win. That's a no-brainer. I'm also going to say that it's going to be a no-brainer with Roma, and not because Roma is not a good team. They're going through their troubles right now, coaching, Edin Dzeko not being very happy with Fonseca. That's another soap opera that is, you know, and I think he's done a very good job, Dzeko, of kind of hiding his emotional issues or his discord with the coach. I mean, look, everyone's got ideas, and I think that I personally think that Fonseca's time at Roma has come and gone. I think that the players, I think he did as much as he could. It doesn't help when you're missing what I consider my gioiello. I love Nicolo Zaniolo. He's by far my favorite Italian player, and I would do anything to have him see him in black and white. I probably paid triple in my membership just to guarantee that we have more money in the coffers to bring him to Torino. But like I said, 4 out of 4. Please understand, these guys are human beings. These are men that have tolerances, and this is what we tend to forget a lot of the time. These 4 next games are not going to be dependent on the players. This will be dependent on Pirlo. Pirlo will have to strategize and have to come up with game plan, not just a game plan individual unilaterally for each game, but the game plan for the four games, and say, what do I need to do in order to meet the objective? And the objective is the W, and not a loss. And at best, a tie. At worst, a tie. That's what people may think contrary to me, what Massimiliano Allegri did without flaw. Allegri was a tactician, and it was a master at understanding where to push and where to hold back and gain your win. And it was all important W. And he used to say it all the time. You guys massacre me when I win ugly, and then you guys massacre me when we play well and we lose. And you know what? So there's no happy medium. So Allegri was an absolute genius for that. And, you know, people, I hope now, realize what Massimiliano Allegri meant to Juventus and our winning pedigree. But I honestly think that it will be, I think the worst we're going to come out of it is a tie. Where? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a tie with Roma or Sampdoria. That tie may come with Napoli. But we will definitely be Inter in the Coppa Italia. There's no way these guys will let that team win again. It's going to, and if they do win, it will be something where we're going to extra time. But it won't happen in regular time.
It's a fair assessment. Ross, your forecast for the next coming games. What are your thoughts?
Like, John, I couldn't agree with you more. This is where Pirlo maybe was with his inexperience, but he was a player. If they get the whole coaching staff, and you got to break this down one game at a time. Yes, we can look at the 4 games, but I think the key to Juventus now is that we have 5 substitution now instead of 3.
Yeah.
Like John said, Krushelitsky comes down, Chiesa goes in. You know, Morata might come out, or Dybala might come in, or you put Dybala in with the both of them. And what this does is it scares the other team. You know, against Inter, we had no Dybala, we had no Cuadrado, we had no De Ligt. So Inter says, we're going to win today. To me, Inter went on that field that we're going to win. So if we can get our team back healthy, everybody back, and Pirlo, each game against Sampdoria is going to be different from the game against Roma. It's going to be different against Inter. but he's got 5 substitutes, and we have 5 people on the bench who are just as good as the people that are playing. So you give them a rest, you start the game. I don't know however, I mean, they're the coaches. They'll get their minds together. But I think the key right now with Juventus is they can substitute 5 players, and it depends on the first half and depends when the game is, if they were losing by 1, if it's a tie. I mean, look what Inter today, when Milan was playing with 10 men, he put in Sanchez, he put in Ashley Young, he put in everybody, and Milan couldn't get out of there 18. Again, my forecast is going to be for Juve, and remember, to win the Scudetto, you must win le scontri diretti. So we still have, and Inter has to play Milan again, they have to play Napoli, they have to play Atalanta. So i scontri diretti, when we play Inter and Atalanta and Milan again, those are the key games. That's how you make up points. Again, Pirlo and his staff, I'm sure they'll get it together. We're Juventus, and we're going to scare the other teams when we get on the field. We're still the champs. So, he's got the players now. He has the players. If they come back healthy, that's the future for me, these upcoming games.
Bravo. Well said. It's gonna come down to the substitutions. Can Pirlo make those adjustments in game? And also, we cannot lose against, like you mentioned, Ross, these scontri diretti, because the standings are very close and it's very tight with those 7 teams at the top. So we have to try to not lose, because that's a 6-point swing, and could bury us at the end. James, any final thoughts before we move on to the transfer market on the upcoming games over the next few weeks?
Yeah, just to echo what everyone else has said, the destiny is in our hands. We have to go out there. We have to win every game. It's a lot different. We're now, Winter Champions is done. It's crowned. That meaningless trophy that really isn't a trophy is done. It's a lot different in the second half, being chased from chasing. The Milans of the world, the Inter of the world. There really is those teams aren't built full of champions like Juve is. They can handle the pressure. So all Juve has to do is keep winning, and we'll see the Milan start with the pickups. We saw it already last weekend where Milan lost and Inter tied. This is how we start closing the gap. We just continue winning. And as Ross and John said, we have the most fullest squad of everybody else. We got 5 subs. Piero just needs to know how to use that to his advantage. And I think the big key, and as I touched earlier in January why we struggled, we now have our backs back. I mean, think about it. We didn't have Sandro and Corrado for a good chunk of our games. They have been fundamental to our team, and you add Daniello on there as well. Those 3, you rotate the 3, and Fabroda comes in to kind of assist. We're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to switch over to the transfer market just because we have about a week left. So the winter transfer market ends on Monday, February 1st. So far, it's been muto. Nothing has happened just yet. Briefly, some of the latest news on the Juventus front. Looks like the deal for Brian Reynolds, the right back from the Dallas FC Dallas Academy, has fallen through, and now Roma are in pole position to sign the youngster. But we'll see. As we know, anything can happen, and I'm hoping that they can rescue the deal. Still looking for another striker. Gianluca Scamacca is the popular name from Sassuolo, who has fallen out of favor in Genoa. I don't know if he's worth the 20 million. It could be a pretty big gamble for the next, Simone Zaza, to be quite honest. I don't want that to really happen again. Not where Juventus is now. And then and it's either between him or Olivier Giroud. If he falls out of favor with Thomas Tuchel, who is the new coach at Chelsea, we can get him on the cheap. He's going to be a free agent in June. So if we can spend a few million for a guy who's won the World Cup and has got plenty of Champions League experience, that'd be definitely helpful come May and late May when we're competing for all 3 trophies. John, I'll start with you. Any news that you've heard on transfers? Is there any realistic target we can get within the next 5-6 days?
Look, man, I guess I've been the type of guy where I'd rather just watch my team when if someone comes in. I just want this talk or the length of this transfer window not to be so open. And so I know with COVID they've extended and whatever, but this is trying on everybody. I just want it up and done with. I think it gives way to complacency and like not getting the job done. And I personally look. Do we need another striker? Absolutely. There's talk about Edin Dzeko coming over and having a swap between him and Khedira. And that's something that they were looking at. Look, I would take that. I would actually pick up Khedira on my back and take him to Roma, and then hire a Learjet with anything that Dzeko wants and bring him to Torino. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to play Dzeko, from the first minute to the 90 minute. He is a guy you bring in, you play him against the lonelies, the little teams, the Crotones, whatever, because he is a bona fide poacher and he's a leader in the dressing room. He will add to that leadership with Buffon, Chiellini, Bonucci, Ronaldo. You need that, and he's a great player for that. And the guy, his smell for the net is unbelievable. And I said it before when we were looking at the season, I was really looking for. I mean, although we're all happy with Morata, I would have never have been disappointed with Edin Dzeko because of what he brings to the table, and he brings that leadership role. And I would love to see it. And if we can get rid of Khedira and enjoy 6 months of Edin Dzeko, let's do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a little disappointed and heartbroken that Marione went over to Milan. I don't know how well he's going to do. He had a subpar experience wherever he was before. It's going to take him a while to get into game shape. But he's a fierce competitor. He's going to leave it on the field. He's going to score a goal. He's going to give support to Ibra and that thing. Milan, I felt terrible for them today. They're decimated as well. They're still missing Benacer, who's coming back next week. There's guys who are coming back from being injured. But again, from the transfer market, I would have loved to seen something. It looks more and more that our transfer market really will start in June. I really do think that this is a situation where we have been affected by previous acquisitions and contract deals that have obviously given way to our restrictions. The Khedira deal, the Higuain, all that jazz. Even though we got rid of Higuain, we're eating half of his contract or a majority of it. So again, if we get Dzeko, I'll be happy. If we land Scamacca some way, somehow, but I think we're gonna have to wait till June before we actually see anything relevant where Khedira is off the books. We look at other guys that are going to be leaving. I don't expect Sandro to be here after June of this year. I think we're going to be leaning towards someone else. And the way Danilo's been playing, and you have Demiral, do you really need him? Sabota is shown to be very strong on that wing, and we'll see. Alaba's gone; he's no longer on the thing. I would look at Memphis Depay and Awar in the midfield and see what else there's availability to see. Okay.
Yeah. Ross, thoughts on transfers? You see any of these moves, hypothetical moves, playing out before February 1st?
Well, the way I look at this team, before we got Morata, I was hoping and praying that we get Dzeko from Roma, Dzeko, whatever you pronounce his name. I mean, he's a type of player of what Lukaku means to Inter. That strong player in the middle who can head the ball, who will fare la sponda, as they say to other players. As far as Scamacca goes, I mean, would he make a difference right now? I don't think so. So I'll step back. Goalkeepers are all set. Our defensive line, the best in the world. The attack right now, if Dybala comes back, we got Chiesa, Kuzelinski, we got, we haven't even mentioned Mr. Ronaldo all night. I hope, but the poor guy sometimes he doesn't get the ball. What I would like for Juve right now is, we got Rabiot, we got Arthur, we got Bentancur, But you see what a guy like McKennie does when a midfielder that runs for 90 minutes. What Barella does for Inter and what McKennie's done. So I would love to get maybe, I don't know where are they, we can get him a more of a midfielder that more like a McKennie or un regista. I still think the Juve does not have a regista like when Pirlo was there. And that might be maybe in June or in the future. But for now, the only player that I would welcome right now is the Jesco from Rome. I don't think Scamacca will make a big difference right now. And I mean, those are my thoughts. But I think we have the team to compete in all levels: the champions, Scudetto, and the champions. I don't know who can we bring right now, but I don't foresee any moves in this in February. I really don't. Because if it was, I think they would have made it by now. But my thoughts is that that's the team has we won the Super Cup. We got some confidence. Yeah, we lost the Inter, but let's move ahead one by one and get these players. Again, the key to me is we have 5. We can substitute 5 players and put those players in at the right time, at the right moment for the future.
Yeah, well said. And I think we may not even get anybody the way things are playing out. But James, do you think we're going to get anyone as well, or are you, what are your thoughts? What are you hearing on Twitter?
Yeah, so I don't see us going and getting a big name player. We that's not Juventus DNA for the January window. January we usually buy the youth player that no one hears about, and then we sell them 2 seasons later for a plusvalenza. That's typically our January window. I would like a backup striker similar to Morata's characteristics as a number 9. I think that's something that they were looking for all year. Because right now, when you look at our up front position, you have Ronaldo, you have Dybala, who arguably they're similar skill sets. They're more the playmaker. And then you have Morata, who's the one doing that dirty work, doing the with his back to the goal, holding the ball up. Kulusevski can slot into that role, but that's not really his game. So I would like that typical number 9. Is it going to be Deco? I just can't see Roma given a striker of that caliber to Juve. And Giroud, for if it happens, it happens. But we've been hearing about Giroud's name for at least 3 seasons now. So I just don't see it happening. I think we have the team that the players that we're going to have for the rest of the season. And the summer transfer market, that's where I'm expecting some big changes. The Twitter world keeps talking about Locatelli and Pogba. Whether it's one, whether it's both, whether we can dream for both, but if that was to happen, it means something else is going to happen on the other end to create the funds for it. So we shall see. But I think this is our team going forward.
I think a lot of it is going to come out to, how much revenue do we have? And right now there's been very little other than some of the TV money from the Champions League. So it's going to have to take, I think, a clean house of getting rid of some of those big contracts, selling off some of those players. That's a big job for Paratici or whomever replaces him if he's ousted. They've got quite a bit of work on their hands, at least in June. But to Ross's point, we have depth. We have the best depth in the league and arguably one of the strongest depths in Europe. So, I think it's all down to, and the theme of, I guess, this episode is it's all down to Pirlo. Can he manage, even though he's a rookie coach, can he manage these guys to perform what I think they need to perform better than what they really are if they want to win a couple of trophies or even one trophy this year. It's going to have to take a big effort from the coaching staff to get these guys in there. So we'll see. And February 1st, everybody, is the deadline. So we'll see. A lot can change in the sport of Calcio, as we know. So keep your eyes out on Sunday and Monday to see what happens. This pretty much wraps up our topics. I just want to get some club news with John. to go over some of the updates here at JOFC Toronto.
Hi guys. So I want to thank Ross again for coming on, and there's going to be a lot of movement. So we've secured dates for events, obviously in this new year for our picnic and additional events later on. Surprise to our members. We'll keep you posted for that, and when that's happening, we will be doing another raffle in early February for a customized foosball Gettoni table to be raffled off. We're going to be doing the exact same setup as we did before for Rally Up. So all members are encouraged. It's going to be a pretty good. It's going to be custom wrapped by Creative, who will be doing the work for that. And this is obviously a raffle to raise funds for our club. So that we're in the process of solidifying a few other events. One is a soccer golf. We're looking at event in June. Stay tuned for more information with respect to the soccer golf event. And we're really looking forward to obviously seeing everybody again at a watch party to see our beloved Juventus together, cheer on everybody. We're going to be working on some additional apparel, guys. We're meeting every month. We're talking every day the board, obviously to bring bigger and better things to our club. We have solidified additional, sporting good discounts that will be promoted to our membership via email and our Facebook group. So please pay attention to emails and Facebook. And that's it. And, it's great speaking and talking soccer with all of you guys. And Joe, back to you.
Great. Thanks, John. I wanted to thank Ross again. Ross, thanks so much for coming on. I wanted to ask for our listeners in the United States, some of them are subscribers who might be living in Connecticut or Massachusetts or Rhode Island. Where can they find you online, and where can they reach you if they want to learn more about your fan club in Boston?
Well, Joe, really, I want to thank you. You guys, the bottom of my heart. This has been, I feel like a celebrity now. Thank you so much. We have a webpage, Juventus Club Boston. Okay, we do have a webpage, and I periodically I will go on, but we have a lot of followers that have been checking with that. I've had some calls from people who just off the blue. I just got a call from somebody that they have now a Juventus Academy here. They have two in the Boston area with about 400 kids participating. So I'm looking into that. But if I give out my cell phone, can I give it out here?
Just for your own privacy and protection, I would probably advise against this public forum. But what is your website? What is your URL? What's your link?
If they go into the Juventus Club Boston on Facebook, we're on Facebook, Juventus Club Boston, and we come up right there.
Awesome. And John, you had one more thing to add. Sorry to take how dare you interrupt Ross's great speech here, but as always, John's got to steal the show. He's got one more thing to announce. What do you got?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm part of a group with Ross with the North American chapter of Juventus presidents, and we had a meeting a while back where we had Alessandro Bolla of Honolulu who was online, and he had advised that unfortunately, they were going to be an unsanctioned or unrecognized club based upon their numbers. They only had 7 people. So, Joe, you're well aware. I did contact Alessandro with the great support of Joe Chiraco, our vice president, Giacomo Giannone, our treasurer, and Enrico Iafola, our secretary, and his wife Teresa. We were able to, independent of any funds from the club, provide funds to Alessandro so that they could keep the club alive in Honolulu and keep the star in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, bright, shining black and white. So It just goes show that we are a family. We're one club, one family, and that we're here together. And if it wasn't for Gabriele, who brought us all together, I would have never have known of Alessandro's despair. I would have never have known that they would have decimated. And obviously, due to tourism issues and due to COVID, no one traveling, everyone was going back to the mainland, no jobs, everybody frozen out of work. That every penny counts, and we were able to do so. So, Joe, I want to thank you for jumping on board. I want to thank Teresa and Enrico and Jack for stepping. I want to thank the board for standing behind us, and with their good graces, it just means little things. So they sent us these amazing scarves as a sign of gratitude. Juventus official fan club Honolulu. And on the back, which is absolutely beautiful, is L-L-A-K-O-K-O, which is black and white in Hawaiian, which is absolutely, this will definitely go in the on the Juventus wall in my man cave. It'll be hanging nice and right there for people to see, because I was emotional when we received them. So the one each will be given to each of our board members as a gift from Alessandro and his board, and one will be left with the club as a memory of I'm going to say the good graces and the amount of love that the Toronto club showed a fellow group out in the Pacific Rim. So kudos to the entire board at JOFC Toronto, to Alessandro and his group in Honolulu. I'm glad that you guys are still with us, and that we are still communicating and building a family, and that's what it is. And this is one of the first things I got from Ross. As soon as I was gravitated to Ross right away when we got on the thing, is just for the sheer fact of building this camaraderie and this family and this thing of united we're stronger. So Ross, thank you for that, and I take great knowledge from that, and just making sure that we all do that. We are constantly helping out each other. Thank you.
My pleasure. And if I'm just saying one more thing, if once the travel ban is over and you have a nice activity, a picnic, I would love to jump on a plane and join you guys in Toronto. And in November, if our banquet is can go on like we do every year, I'm going to extend an invitation to any member of your club, and you, John, we will be my special guest.
Thank you.
And thank you for having me. It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure, Ross, and we'll definitely take that up, that offer. And again, we love featuring the Juventus clubs here on our podcast, because we're trying to grow the brand of Juventus in North America. North America is the future of the sport of soccer or football. It's not China. It's not India. It's not Indonesia. It's the United States and Canada. This is the future, and the future is black and white. Fino alla fine, forza Juve. Thanks for joining us, everybody, on the 6 Yard Box podcast. Give us a follow at Juve Club Toronto on Instagram, at Juve Club TO on Twitter. JOFCToronto.com is our website. Toronto's fan club, Juventus fan club forever and always. Fino alla fine. Ciao for now.